Okay, I think we are live now. I just had the intro looping. I'm trying the studio mode in here. Let me just double check the audio real quick.
You want me to mukbang
No, I think we're good.
ASMR for you?
No, I think we are good now. So, we are
Hi.
back live again. We have a slightly different setup here in the studio. Let's see if people start going. Did you post on Facebook if we're
Oh, I did, but I literally just put
we're
it
live
up.
now?
Yeah. I guess I'll go into the YouTube
The YouTubes.
also, so that I can see if there's any questions and stuff.
Okay.
I'm able to see the questions too, right?
Yeah. So we are trying a different type of thing here. I wish I had like buttons to quickly switch over. Okay, I could actually use the keyboard buttons. Let's try if I press enter.
I'm gonna do a test chat.
I'm trying to find a quicker way to transition these things. Okay, I think it's just a matter of these two fingers.
There.
Okay, so it's on me now. I think I'm gonna switch out of studio mode.
What's studio mode?
It like lets you see before you switch it over, but now I could just click a button and it'll automatically switch to each view.
What software do you use for that?
It's called OBS Studio.
Okay.
Actually, the software I'm using is by this company called Elgato, and they actually make this like thing with buttons on it, and you could just press to switch scenes. But being a graphic designer, I don't really like the software that you use to like switch scenes and stuff, even though they have that like deck, because it doesn't allow you to like add these like graphics. Like in the bottom left corner, we have the little James and Jess.
Yeah.
Like I'm not quite familiar with how to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
On using the Elgato software, so I'm using this thing called OBS, and I think this is, if you ever watch streamers on Twitch and everything, this is the program that they all use. So
I look really bored on.
I was like, so I need to get used
I'm
to
not
like
actually this
switching
bored.
it.
I'm like.
So when I was talking that whole time, it basically was just like focusing on you.
Yeah, I'm like listening, but I just look really bored. Hi, Donnie. I'm not actually bored. It's just my face. I have RBF. I have resting bored face.
I'm gonna, cause I'm like controlling it here on my laptop. We have Donnie here. Do you have the chat up?
I do. I have it on my phone, so it just
Okay,
kind of
great,
like
yeah.
pops up whenever somebody, but it's also a little bit delayed.
Donnie's back. Donnie was here for the previous live stream. I hope you like this slightly new setup. We got the Jess angle here, and then we got the James angle here. Okay, so I think we should just jump into some of the pre-asked questions.
Pre-asked questions? You don't want to do warm-ups? You don't
okay,
want to
what's a
make
warm-up?
Donnie ask us warm-up questions?
Oh yeah, Donnie's here. Maybe Donnie could ask us some warm-up questions.
Can we ask Donnie some warm-up questions?
It'll be a little bit delayed, so if you ask him now in about 30
that's right.
seconds, he'll see it.
Alright. Donnie, how's my hair? My brother made me really insecure about my hair last time.
Donnie said he saw my studio tour. It's pretty dope. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a small space, but I mean, we're able to do this live stream here, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I wish we can like just take off the camera and like show you around, but it's a really neat space.
Where do I find a Nintendo Switch for cheap? I don't know. I go to slickdeals.net and I just have like alerts set up for specific things that I'm looking for. And sometimes I just check slickdeals.net every single day and buy shit that I don't need. It's terrible. I end up buying a lot of random stuff. Donnie likes
Oh, it's
her hair.
fancy. It's fancy app. Thank you. Alright, great. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's Slick Deals. I set up alerts, so with all camera gear and whatnot, if I'm like looking for a specific lens or camera, I like type in the alerts and then I get an email whenever somebody posts a really good deal on it. But I assume that, I don't know how much they're going for now. I think they just like released an updated version.
How much are they normally? Like full price?
Like $250, I guess. I remember last Christmas I helped was it last Christmas or was that over a year ago? No, maybe that was 2 Christmases ago. I helped Kirsty get a Nintendo Switch. I think the only deals they had on it was like during Black Friday and stuff. It was like buy it for like $250 and then you get like a $30 Target gift card. It's pretty cool. I miss playing Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch is my favorite console.
Do you have a favorite game that's not like that's off the beaten path? I mean, I know the Goose Game is your
Untitled Goose Game. That was fun. Jess saw me play that, and Mini Metro. Have you seen me play Mini Metro?
I've watched you play Mini Metro.
It's like this very minimalistic subway construction game. I'm addicted to that. I could play that on a plane, and then like 5 hours could go by, and I'd be like, "Wow, we're landing already."
Mini Metro.
Mini Metro.
You just build subway maps. $300 for a single console?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember back in the day when it was like PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64. I guess they started at like $200, right, to buy a console.
I was like a Sega Genesis girl, like maximum Sonic, the games that you can't go back.
But those are good games.
That was my era.
They make the classic versions of those now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought the Super NES Classic, but I haven't opened it yet, which is pretty cool.
What's Tools Up? Have you played Tools Up before?
I have not played Tools Up before, but I have played Overcooked. I've told you about.
Yeah, like how it ruins
Overcooked
friendships
sessions.
and stuff, right?
Yeah, Overcooked tests the boundaries of your friendships with other people, and it shows you how good or bad of a communicator you are. Me and Christy played that. Juliet, one of my other friends, Juliet, played it, and we all had like a...
I watched. It was really aggressive.
We yell at each other to pass us things and get
Donnie says I can get Sonic Mania on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they have the Sonic games in the store there, I think, in Nintendo Switch. But
I want to ask you, Don, what type Tools Up is about, but there's like a 30-second lag on the chat box. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations or anything else you like, definitely let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. He says, "My girlfriend and I only fight during Overcooked, never any other time." I could see that. I think it'll also help your relationship communication skills too.
Do we need relationship communication help?
Like if we're following instructions and it's like, "Hey, pass me the fish, or pass me the tuna, pass me the."
You're gonna have to learn to be like, "Sweetie, can you
put the rice in the pot?
Sweetie, will you please?"
And then when the whole kitchen burns down, then we have to talk about it afterwards and settle our differences.
Sure. Okay.
All right, we'll watch I'll watch the Tools Up trailer later. Maybe that would be a fun game for me to.
I haven't seen you play the Switch in a while.
I got some text messages. So, my brother texted me saying my mom's watching, so don't say anything to offend her. I won't say anything to offend your mom.
Hi. I didn't tell my mom about this.
And my cousin Roz asked, "How do you ask questions?" I guess you could text me, or there's a chat box. I guess if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not logged in on a YouTube account, then you won't be able to use the chat box.
I think I'm watching on my phone, and there's an option to chat publicly. So
even if you're not logged into YouTube.
Yeah, how do I do this?
Yeah, just go into the camera.
I'm gonna do the
it's
the
on
YouTube
manual focus. So
okay, I can't do like the YouTube makeup brush.
No, I think if you hold it back here and say the button's down here.
All right, so let me show you how I did it. Okay, so right now it's showing me a live chat option under this on the phone. I think I can toggle some messages like spam that. So there's a live chat option under here. It might be hidden on your YouTubes, but I can see you guys.
Well, only Donnie's.
Well, I can see Donnie typing. Donnie says, "Hi, Mom," and that he owns the chat box. But right now, I'm able to chat publicly, so I'm just gonna say like, "Hey, Donnie," "Hey, Donnie," and it'll come up on the screen down here. So I'm not sure.
We got another person. Oliver's here.
Hi,
What's
Oliver.
Ollie's cool. I think he moved to Connecticut. Haven't seen him since college.
And then if you're on the
got-
if you're on the wide version, it'll show up on the left side, but only if you have it on.
Yeah. So that's how you ask us questions in the chat, but I guess we have our phones out here, so if you
Just text
are
us.
unable to do that, then text us some questions. And I'm really bad at switching these camera angles.
Ask us some questions, James's mom.
Um,
Some people asked us dating questions, so
Yeah.
will this be like awkward for family?
Just call out some people. We got Michael Price, my coworker at the block, is here.
Hello.
And I'm
Okay.
still bad at switching. I need to like switch it when I'm talking, and then there you go. We're on Jess. All right, let me just get in this habit of switching back and forth.
It's just on you the whole time?
It was kind of on me, or it's like, see, I'm talking, but I put it on you. But maybe it's good to see your reaction when I see stuff.
I don't have reactions. I just have like resting RBF.
Okay, I have resting stank face.
Yeah. Resting stanky.
Okay, Jess, I guess you want to jump into some of
The
these
questions people asked us?
So these are questions. When we put up our posts, we asked people to send some questions. We collected some of them in a Google Doc just to get us kind of warmed up here while, people are jumping on. So I guess we could jump into some of those questions now.
All right, Donnie. He just says we only talk over Insta. He's in the doghouse. I have levels, all right? I'm kidding. Okay. Question one. Actually, I want to start with this question because it's a good question. So Donnie had asked before we started, what is your best and your worst subway story? Which is pretty great. You want to go first or?
Should I start? Oh man, okay. Best and worst. What do you want me to start with? The worst or the best?
Whichever.
Worst subway story.
Don't touch your
man.
face.
I knew.
Just touched my face.
Yeah, stop touching your. I won't show that on camera. It's
Hi,
bad
Ann.
practices.
Ann says we're so pro. Thank you, girl. It's all James.
Best and I had this in my head when I saw it in the doc, and then I completely forgot.
I can start.
Okay, I remember mine now. Okay. All right, so my worst subway story. I once had anxiety. I had a panic attack or anxiety attack.
Hold on.
the
Hi,
subway.
John. Okay. You had a panic attack.
I had a panic attack once on the subway. It was back when I lived in Sunnyside, and I was taking the 7 train, and it was like going through the tunnel, like between Manhattan and Queens. And I just remember I was just like standing on the train, and I just saw this one guy, like he was just like making odd movements and just very like fidgety, and like I don't know why this like threw me off, but like I like for some reason got into my head about like he's like up to something, he's gonna do something on this train, like literally I thought like some sort of like he was gonna do something that was like a terrorist attack or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know how like that got into my head, but I literally started like freaking out, and the train was in the tunnel, so like couldn't really do anything, and I was just like really freaking out like in the tunnel while I watched this guy just making jerky movements with like a backpack. And the other thing was his backpack was like in front of him in his chest, and he was like hugging it like it was like there was something like really important in there. And this whole thing just had me like freaking out, like I'm gonna die on this train, to a point that I was like shaking and sweating. And then immediately, like even though my stop was like a bunch of stops later, I ended up getting off the train on that first stop, and I like my legs were shaking. I almost like stumbled to the ground, that I was like having this crazy panic attack. And I think that was like the worst moment I've ever had on the subway.
Mine was I have a pretty similar one, which I think involves thinking that someone on the train was gonna. So my friend Bijou and I were getting on the train sometime at night, after just like shenanigans, and we got on in the Lower East Side or Soho, and then on the F train, and then while we're on the train, like as the doors are about to close, this tall, skinny guy dressed like he was in the Matrix comes on, and like he like stands there like with his like neck stooped with the sunglasses on, as like just kind of like scaling the train car. And then Bijou and I just look at each other, and I just got like chills, right? And then he like slowly like Matrix walks like to the other end, and then swoops around like with his like black trench coat, and he swoops around and like just stares at us from the other side.
What?
Like, you know that guy from Grandma's Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what he looked
coat.
like. Yeah.
And did you feel like he was doing it on purpose to be silly, or like
He looked like he was really into it.
And he was like acting though.
I don't know. I don't know. So his vibes were all off. And like anybody who knows me, like I'm super sensitive to vibes. So Bijou and I just took one look at each other, and then we're like, we just got off the train.
Yeah.
But then as soon as right before the train doors were gonna close, oh no, we were one stop away and we were like really scared. So then we like got off at the next stop. And then as soon as we get off the train, we're like, whew, we're safe. We're like breathing hard and laughing. And then he gets off.
Oh, God.
And then we immediately screamed and ran back onto the train as soon as the doors closed. And we were so scared that we were like laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
And like we fell onto the floor. But I was like genuinely scared.
So
some mass shooting was gonna happen.
It was like so that's like a similar experience to mine.
Yeah, I'm getting like heart palpitations.
So our worst subway experiences are very similar. It's just like being suspicious of someone that they're gonna do something.
Yeah.
And freaking out.
And I think it's also like around the time that I don't remember how old we were, but it was like around the time that mass shootings were like.
Yeah, I feel like during the time I was freaking out, some sort of like terrorist thing happened, that it was just top of mind, that you're just being vigilant or whatever. But yeah, I guess both of our worst experiences are very similar.
Let's wash that away.
Yeah, with the best
your
experience.
Best story.
Should I go first?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so at first I had to like hesitate and think about this, but then I just remembered something that was just like really, really, really funny.
Oliver just asked if it was JP from Grandma's Boy, and I straight up, he looked just like him. He was dressed like him. He had the same like beaky situation, except like a lot more aggro and violent. Yeah.
I mean, once you said that, I had a clear picture.
Exactly like the guy from Grandma's Boy. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if you saw JP from Grandma's Boy on there, that should be one of your best experiences on the train.
Wait, which one was JP? The Matrix guy?
The guy who was like acting like a robot and played that VR game.
Right, the Matrix guy. Yeah. Except like violent. So, all right, best story.
Okay, best story. So my favorite story that I remember is it was a time when Showtime got onto the train, and it was like, I guess it was a slightly different act. It was a 2-person act on the train, and I just remember this very clearly because I just started laughing my ass off. But basically, they were doing their like routine like down the aisle of the train, and then there came this one move, and I don't know how this was gonna work. Like, it just didn't physically look possible. But one of the guys gets in the aisle and he spreads his legs. And I'm like, okay, what is gonna happen here? The other guy comes running across the aisle and he like, I guess he tried to do like a jump and tuck and roll between his legs. And he goes to do it and he like heels the guy right in the balls. And he like falls down, like he legitimately like was in pain. And I saw this go down and I started cracking up, like laughing my ass off. Like, this was like Showtime gone wrong. And that's why you saw me like when you asked me, and I just started giggling to myself because I had the visual of like the guy with his legs wide open, and I was like, where is this going? I got like, normally I don't turn my heads to like show them that I'm like paying attention, but like when I saw this going down, I was like, all right, let me see this. And it totally like did not. Yep. What I thought might happen exactly happened, and I was like the guy like pointing and laughing, like,
wow.
So that was my best subway story.
Wow. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So mine is a little less violent. I actually posted it this morning, I think, because it happened 2 years ago to this date. Mm-hmm. But I was on the train. This is back when I think I was coming from Bensonhurst at the time. So I was on the D train, and it's a pretty quiet train, and then this Tibetan woman, I didn't know she was Tibetan, but this like little Asian woman comes and sits next to me, and we're just kind of like sitting next to each other. And then she just turns to me, and then she just like offers me bread. Like, she had like a bag of like sliced bread in her thing, and then she just kind of turns to me and she's like, "You want some?" And I'm like, I love bread, you know. So I was like, okay. So she just like gave me a piece of her bread, and we're like eating and then talking, and we started talking about like how much we love bread. So she lives in New Jersey. She lived in New Jersey where there were a lot of Italians. She was telling me about her like favorite bakery that she got it from, and I was like, man, like, you know, I live in Bensonhurst. No, this might have been while I was on the Q train actually on Parkside. But I was like, yeah, like I grew up in Bensonhurst and my favorite bakery, and we used to eat bread every day. So then we're bonding over bread. And then within like minutes, so she asked me if I was born here. I told her yes, and I just learned all this stuff about her. And then the train ride was only like 15 minutes long, but I felt like she was telling me she grew up in Tibet. China took over Tibet, became like a police state. They had to run away. She was talking about how there's like cameras a lot of places. She couldn't practice her religion. Being a woman was very like dangerous. So then she came here when she was really young, I think like 9 or something. So she came to Jersey when she was 9.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like been here ever since. And then she was talking to me about how much she like misses Tibet. But then she went one time with her husband, and it was just so different.
Mm-hmm.
So she like misses a home that doesn't exist anymore, right? And what was that word that
Sadad.
Sadad or however?
But so Sadad is more of like a longing for a love that can no longer be, or something like that.
Is it love, or is it just a longing for something?
No, I think Sadad is specifically love, like the feeling of love.
Okay.
But like loving something that you could never attain get.
Okay. My bad, then erase that. Edit that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just this crazy story. And then like she got off the train before I did. And then I thought like an hour had gone by, but it was only 15 minutes. So yeah. So that was my favorite story, where it's just like, I think one of the things I really love about New York is how you can just like accidentally like connect with people on a really deep level, and then just like say goodbye and never see them again.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if you take the opportunity to ask people what their story is, you will always get something super interesting in New York.
So, yeah.
Like, anytime I take a cab or a Lyft or an Uber, like, I always, if the driver's up to it, otherwise some of them are just talking in their Bluetooth to somebody else and you don't bother them, but like, you could get a sense if somebody's like willing to talk. And I think most of the cab drivers, at least I've spoken to, are like waiting for someone to ask them like what their story is.
Yeah.
But you always get like really interesting stories.
Yeah, I 2 times in the past like 6 months, my cab driver has like parked outside of where I needed to get off, just so we can finish this like crazy conversation. Yeah. What's like the most like deepest like Uber conversation?
I don't know if I like remember any conversation specifically, but there are always stories of someone from either East Europe or like the Middle East of like trying to like just talking about them like making a life out of being a taxi driver. Some of them sometimes I get into like, commonly a conversation that comes up is just like talking about people like, have you ever like had someone skip a fare on you or whatever, and like did you have to chase them down? Those types of stories I remember, but I don't remember anything in particular, but it's usually about like, where they came from and like how are they making it here in New York, and just like what kind of how's their family like, do they have kids here, like that type of stuff.
My conversations start out with that, and then it just keeps getting like, so I had this one conversation with this guy who, before he came here, I think he was from the somewhere in the Middle East, and when he came here, before he came here, he studied religion as his like major. And in like a really deep level. So then we started having conversations about religion, and how he was just like, according to his studies, Christianity is the only, or like Catholicism, or like any religion involving like Jesus, is the only religion that preaches unconditional love as its like foundation. Whereas others kind of preach like a lot of other things. So we ended up sitting outside. He like turned off the clock, and we sat outside for like 20 minutes just talking about like religion and philosophy and love. And then just recently, when I was coming back from something, my driver's name had only 3 letters in it, and it was AMR. And I asked him how to pronounce it, and he said it's pronounced Amra. And he's like, you're the first person in my like 25 years here that pronounced it right. And he was talking about how he's from Egypt. And then he has this whole like Facebook group about like just the things about Egypt that are amazing. Anyway, okay, so yeah.
Ali actually asked to continue on this conversation. Do you think in the future those guys will be replaced by self-driving cars? Unfortunately, yes. I think that is probably what's going to happen in like the next 50 years. I think it's unfortunate, and I think this is also one of the reasons why I'm like an Andrew Yang supporter, is because it's this belief that like automation is going to take a lot of future jobs that can be replaced by technology. But yeah, unfortunately, I think self-driving cars are going to replace those guys. As for like where they're gonna go or what they're gonna do after that,
Is our camera feed cut?
I don't know.
Oh no, never mind. Sorry.
You okay?
Sorry. Yeah, it was just paused by accident.
Yeah, I think unfortunately those guys. But yeah, I don't know what they would end up moving to next.
I don't know. I don't know if we're all going to end up in self-driving cars. I think that we still have like a healthy fear and mistrust. Like we want to control where we go and what happens, and you know, I think businesses make a lot of money on drivers, and I don't know. I have like a solid faith in analog humanity, and I'm just like very much like.
Well, so I think it's going to be a mixture because there's going to be people who I love driving. Yeah. I'm not going to like get a self-driving car anytime soon because I just love driving. Yeah. But for like taxi cabs and delivery services, like
I don't know how to drive well yet because when you live in the city, you can get around without ever needing to know how to drive. So I'm in my 30s, but I'll get there. But anyway.
But yeah, no, I think people who don't want to drive, definitely self-driving cars are going to take over all that stuff, and especially all like delivery food services. All the rich tech people are looking for ways to make more money doing less work and do more stuff without needing to pay people.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. How's your phone? Is it okay?
It's good. It's good.
It's buzzing a lot over there.
It's good. That's all Anne.
Did you get some questions?
Donnie asked, how many different uses can you think of for a single sock?
Have you...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I switched the camera. I should just get rid of this like one thing. Anyway. Have you found any other creative uses for socks aside from the normal putting it on your feet?
Me? Yeah. I don't know if you know, like this is back in the day before text messaging, but when you call you're in an apartment or like you get to your friend's house and you have to go upstairs but their bell's not working, then they'll like put their sock in a key and then throw it down at you. Have you ever had that?
Don't think I've
Or key in a sock rather, and then they'll throw it and then you like catch it, and then so I've had that. You can put money in it and beat people. These are all very like New York City specific. Yeah. Like you can put like coins in it and you can like beat people.
Yeah, no, I grew up in suburbia where I didn't have to beat people think about socks. That.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Can you use it as a cheesecloth?
Ew. Not a used sock, I hope.
No, but like clean socks, you know. And I feel like we have this like mental stigma, like socks are always dirty.
So how good of a job would a sock do at like filtering things?
I don't know. I've never done it before. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's just like it's breathable cotton, but it's not like cheesecloth breathable.
I thought about using it as a cheesecloth, and that just sounds very nasty.
Yeah, I don't know. What else can you use it for? I use it to pack cups when I travel, because I always end up like buying things at thrift stores whenever I travel, and it's usually cups. So I'll like put glass and cups in it and then like stack them.
No, I definitely do that. Well, when I go traveling and I'm like checking stuff in, I like use my socks to cover fragile things. Like if I'm packing away like my bathroom, my shampoo and my conditioner to cushion them a little bit, I might put them in some socks.
Oliver said it depends on if you feel like a car is an appliance versus something that excites you. That's true.
Yeah.
I like John's question. John asked, what made you guys decide to start this podcast/stream?
Yeah, I think so we've been thinking about doing a podcast for a while, and ever since I started the studio and got all the podcasting equipment, like we wanted to do a podcast, and the idea for the podcast was a podcast called Little Wins. So I think one of the hardest things with starting a podcast is always having something to talk about consistently, like every week. That's why podcasts always bring in like a different host, because it's like a different thing or a different person to talk with. So what is a topic that both of us could talk about and still have something to talk about every single week? So the idea for the podcast we wanted to start was called Little Wins, where we'd get together every single week and talk about our every little win that we've had, because, you know, it's better to talk about all of, like, positive things, because usually I find that when you get into conversations with people, it always turns into, like, a bitch fest. Like, people just complain about all the negative things, but, like, we wanted to get together and talk about good things, positive things, so the idea was little wins. Like, what was the little wins means, like, you don't have to, like, come in and say that, like, I invented, like, whatever today. It's just like, no, I don't know why I keep on using this example, but it's like, I decided to, like, do my laundry today. That's, like, a little win, like, little things like that.
Yeah, and I think the little wins idea kind of started at a time where we were both kind of transitioning into spaces, but, like, I particularly was going through a really weird transition, and I was kind of going through this period too where I felt like no matter how much I did, I wasn't doing enough. So, like, I know, you know, I don't know if this was one of the reasons why, but I know you were, like, a really important part of just reminding me about all the things that I have done, and, like, just focusing on the things that I did complete. How, like, much closer I might have gotten to goals. So we had a fun idea of just, like, reminding each other of that on podcast form. And I think the other thing is that, like, since James and I met, we haven't really stopped talking. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff. We get really deep. We bring in really interesting perspectives. Like, I'm a psych nerd. I'm always bringing in psych stuff. And James is, like, a design nerd and a physics nerd. And I think the way that he approaches design is also similar to the way you approach life. And, you know, the way that I always just find everything much funner with, like a shade of physics painted over it. Psychology painted over it. So we thought you guys might be, like, interested in what we had to say. And then this live stream thing honestly happened because we've been kind of thinking about doing it, but, like, we should try it someday status. James had an idea where he wanted to do it but needed a topic. I'm in a place where I'm moving my workshops online because of the current situation, so I wanted to test out different live stream platforms. So this was just, like, a really fun way to try it. So it's really cute that you guys are here.
Yeah, we had this thing. I mean, this is like everybody when they're having a really intense conversation, and in the end, we're like, this should be a podcast episode. And then the whole live stream thing, because we actually did a pilot of an episode, but then, like, I didn't really want to, like, edit it and things like that. So the idea of, like, a live stream would take all the pressure off of, like, editing, and then, like, I think both of us are of this personality that, like,
perfection.
That, like, we see something, we're like, no, like, we should do this, we should do that, and it, like, just adds this layer of, like, this heap of, like, editing that you want to do because you catch every little thing. You're like, no, like, edit out that whatever. So I think doing a live stream, like, takes all that pressure off, and it's like, whatever we say, and, like, goes, that it's out and it's live. And I've always wanted to experiment doing live streaming because I like watch Twitch a lot, and I think there's something interesting with live streaming that's going to be, like, the new social media fad or whatever, and, like, I wanted to just get into learning, like, how to get a live stream up and, like, how to make it somewhat really good looking and look highly produced, even though this is, like, all set up and, like,
by the way, if you guys don't know, James is, like, very hip and in it with the times. Like, he knows how to do all of this social media stuff, and I'm, like, on the opposite end of the spectrum where I'm, like, constantly on social media but don't, like, know how to social media. So all of this professional stuff that you're seeing, this is, like, all James. I was sitting here eating almonds while he did most of the setup, so.
Thank you. Okay, so we got some questions. I think you have a question here from John. For your workshops, are you going to have a group hangout? Oh, I just asked you this question. I'm going to put the camera on you because you just put something in your mouth.
Yes.
So while you're eating, so part of the reason I also wanted to set up the live stream and test this out was because we were experimenting. Well, Jess was thinking about how she would do her workshops in a digital online fashion, and exploring all opportunities. I think Zoom was, like, the obvious, like, first choice, but I presented the idea of, like, oh, you could do it on a YouTube live stream, and I have all the equipment to do that. But, like, I had not ever tested it before. That was the reason we did the first test over the weekend, was to, like, see how the setup would go, how hard or easy it would be, like, does everything work? I've actually learned a lot since these, like, 2 most recent setups, but that was, like, also a big reason why we're doing the live streams too, is because I just wanted to test the setup to see if you were to do your workshops online, like how that would work if we did the YouTube route versus the Zoom route. But I guess for this question, he's asking, are you going to have a group hangout?
Yeah, and for those who aren't familiar, because we were talking about workshops, I hold workshops on like emotional navigation through journaling. And most of those workshops are usually like very group centered. It's like there's usually like a group of 10. Lately it's been like 20 something, but it's like a smallish group of people. And I bring in like counseling frameworks, healthy relationship frameworks, healthy communication frameworks so that we can apply it to ourselves through journaling. And so far, a lot of the feedback that I've gotten is that the group aspect of it is really, really powerful. So when I move online, I'm just trying to figure out what would be the best way to still have that group interaction. Like Zoom has like the hangout option. They've got breakout rooms. Like it's pretty dope, but people need to download Zoom. So I'm just trying to figure out if YouTube would be a way for people to still feel like they're participating without having their face in it. So yeah.
No, definitely YouTube is a little bit harder in terms of like interacting with people because as you see here, like all we have is the chat box. But if the people are a big part of the workshop and their contributions are important, like you want to be able to see their faces and hear their voices. So you can't achieve that closeness, but at the same time, like in order to tune into I guess this is different for you. If you're getting people to pay for your workshop, you need to have a way to send them a private link, and they need to be.
I think you could do that on YouTube.
Yeah, but I think that you need to like create an account to make sure you like only allow those people access to the live stream and all that stuff. So there's a lot of little different things, but we're trying every possible avenue. So coming soon is a online back to self workshop.
Yeah, but I think the other reason why we wanted to do this as a live stream too is that like people are freaking cabin fevering and stir crazy and feeling like super lonely and weird. And for me, I really wanted to make sure we didn't talk about all the stuff that's on the news at all, because like there's no space right now where I can't hear about it. It's giving me like hardcore anxiety sometimes. So I just wanted to like invite my friends and your friends to just come and hang out with us in like a really casual setting. So yeah, I mean, welcome. I'm really happy you guys are here. It makes this like more fun because it's like you guys and us instead of just us. So that's all the reasons why we wanted to do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. We've lost my camera. I guess we've got the overheating issue. Okay, so you guys are just gonna be looking at me for the rest of this time now. Do you want to set up the camera so that we could just put the angle? Do you want to come sit on my side, and then we can like do a side by side? And then I don't have to keep switching back and forth. Yeah, I think the other right now it's on black screen. Oh no, it's not. So I think the other reason why the interesting thing about the YouTube live stream is that like the cameras overheat. So we keep losing like our alternative cameras. I think right now we just have one camera that like does it really well. So we're gonna adjust real quick. No. Don't move anything. Because I need to come around. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to move You don't need to go that crazy. There's wires that could dangerous. Let's not get too crazy here. All right, guys, you're seeing full live stream struggles out here. So just to continue, I'm just gonna answer questions while you're working on this. Got this microphone situation here. Oh, you guys get to see the studio. You see how cute it is. Okay, and also let us know if you hear us. Okay. Okay, so John, follow-up question is, are there any podcasts you guys are modeling yours after? I don't really know. So also disclaimer is that, hold on, the mic is blocking my face. James used to work for Gimlet, which is a podcast company. Let's keep this here so we're projecting into the microphone. Okay, so it's one mic for both of us? Yeah. Can you guys hear us okay? Did you change this to 10? What do you mean? Did you change the camera settings from 4K to 10? Yeah. Okay. So this is a 1280 by 720 setup. Thanks, guys. People are hi Toya. Thanks, Anne. Anne just said so cute.
Yeah, as far as any podcasts that we're consciously modeling ourselves over, I am not aware of any. Are we modeling?
So I know there's a couple, like, I know there's a lot of couples podcasts.
Oh, are we a couples podcast?
I guess they would fall in that genre of stuff that we're doing. But I guess technically we are.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't really... So I used to work for Gimlet, as Jess is saying.
Can you just zoom in on, like...
So I used to work for Gimlet, as Jess is saying, but a lot of the podcasts that Gimlet does are, like, highly edited...
produced,
like, pre-written podcasts, so... no, I don't think we're really modeling it off of anything, but if... I'm sure there are podcasts out there, if we were to make this a thing, like, that people would be like, oh, that's exactly like so-and-so, because it's just, like, a couple...
But we're, like, way cooler and way cuter than the other podcasts. Favorite 90s jam? I have been listening to 90s R&B, like, nonstop the past couple of days, so it's really hard for me. I'm gonna say that my favorite, like, consistently throughout all time, so that whenever it comes up, it's stuck in my head, like, every day, and I sing it every minute of the day, is Selena, Dreaming of You.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just everything about it invokes, like, I was in 3rd grade when I fell in love with that song. No, not 3rd grade, what the hell? I was in, like, 6th grade, I think, when I fell in love with that song. So it just invokes, like, all of the, like, singing to the radio at the top of my lungs memories. Oh, I'm getting all warm thinking about it. So great.
I think you asked me this before, and I was like, I don't know if some songs... Oh, no, this is movies we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, I was asking him about his favorite 90s movies. But what's your favorite 90s jam? Jam specifically.
I don't know. Limp Bizkit.
Okay. All right, which one? I don't know.
What was I listening to in the 90s? I don't remember.
I mean, in the 90s, it was like pre-high school. It was like junior high school.
Well, I mean, so back in the day, Limp Bizkit had that song Faith, which was based off of the George Michael... is that George Michael? Yeah, you gotta have faith, faith, faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember.
Okay.
90s, I don't know about
All right.
90s songs.
Okay, cool.
90s movies, we just watched Gross Point Blank the other night.
Yeah.
With John Cusack.
I love John Cusack. He's so cute.
Mm-hmm. I forgot, like, I think...
I feel like he's always getting rained on.
I remember you said that you really like John Cusack, and I was, like, trying to remember, like, what movies do I remember that John Cusack is in, and Gross Point Blank was, like, the only one that I really know of.
Which is actually, I've never seen it. We didn't finish watching it. It's really cute. I just, like, remember him he's, like, the super mopey, like, always, like, wet. But he was in, like, High Fidelity and Serendipity and a lot of the 90s movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to show you, I don't know why I love it so much. I don't even know if you guys are familiar with this, but Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion is, like, it's just such a cute, it's got Phoebe from Friends as one of the main characters, and then Roma, anyway, there's another woman, she's blonde in it, and Alan Cummings is in it. It's just, like, a really cute, like, young adult movie that I love. No, John, I don't know what mental illness happy hour Tiger Bell. Oh, podcast, not like 90s songs. Gosh, this delay. No, I haven't listened. Yeah, I love podcast recommendations. So if you guys have any, definitely let us know. I don't think I've, like, fallen in love with the podcast recently.
I saw everybody talking about an episode of Reply All that I haven't heard it yet, but we should listen to it. I hear it's really good, and they say, like, a lot of the people who are talking out there said it's, like, one of their best episodes. But
okay.
We should listen to that. But basically, what I read online was that it's a song that the...
Mira Savino, thank you, Ali. So good. Wait, is it Mira Savino? I don't know, maybe.
But, like, PJ, one of the co-hosts of Reply All, helped someone remember a song that was stuck in their head, but they couldn't remember. And people say it's, like, a really good podcast episode, so we should listen to that later.
Cool.
I'll recommend that.
Sweet.
Listen to Gimlet. Gimlet Reply All. I don't know if they've released a newer episode since then, but the episode has to do with PJ helping someone find a song that was stuck in their head, but they couldn't find the artist or name of the song.
That's really cool. Are you a film buff, James?
No, I'm not a film buff. I'm not like, I have friends who could just recite lines from movies, and like, or someone will say a line from a movie and the other person will like finish.
Oh, one
line.
of those?
Like,
yeah.
I'm not that level. I don't even, sometimes I forget actors' names or like what actor was in what movie now. So I think I'm far from a film buff. Are you a film buff?
Nope. I barely watch TV. I don't think I've watched, I've never seen like The Godfather. I've never seen Star Wars. I've never seen.
Yeah, I don't.
I just don't care. I don't care. I was not allowed to watch TV when I was a kid, and I think it's just one of those things where I'm like, all right, fuck you then. Sorry, mom, James's mom. All right, F you then. And then I started reading books. So I like read books the way people watch TV. That's really it.
Nice.
Who would win in a fight between Spider-Man and Batman?
Spider-Man.
Not Spider-Man. I'm sorry, Superman and Batman. Who would win in a fight between Superman and Batman?
Stick to one, DC or Marvel.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Donnie did ask Spider-Man and Batman.
Spider-Man.
You think Spider-Man would win?
Yeah.
You want to explain?
Just because he's like agile and like has like these ninja abilities, and Batman can't even talk properly.
Okay, that's one iteration of Batman, and that's not fair.
I've never really been a Batman fan.
Really? Interesting.
Wasn't he like he like grew up
Guys,
like he grew a privileged life and like, I don't know.
Okay, so you don't like him because he's privileged?
Is
that where this is going?
Maybe that's where this is going.
Okay. Fascinating. I think Batman. One, because I like Batman's outfits better. I just like resonate more with the gray and black color story. But I don't know. I think like, this is a common argument. Batman doesn't actually have powers, right? Like
so of course he's not gonna win.
But he figures out a way to fight crime and like be a badass. Like he uses his privilege for good.
Yeah. Who would win? But so, would Iron Man or Batman win? Talking about like two rich guys with a lot of gadgets.
I feel like I didn't have access to Iron Man as a kid. Like, was Iron Man on TV as a kid?
No, they didn't really have a cartoon, not like X-Men or not like Spider-Man when you were a kid.
Right,
so.
and I wasn't like a comic book reader, so I don't know if I can fairly argue because I've only had access to Batman as a kid, so I'm biased.
Well, I think by my own logic, Iron Man would win because he drives Audis, and that's...
Guys, I don't know if you can zoom in enough to see like my facial expressions during this, but James is like a really big Audi fan.
We were watching Westworld last night, and Dolores in one of the scenes came out of a futuristic car, and it had the 4 rings on it. And I was like, Audi. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Anne had asked prior to this. I guess we can go into dating questions. Like she asked about how we met and stuff. But do you guys even want to hear that, or do you want us to like talk more about, I don't know,
random things about how I like anything that involves Audi, and that they would win in a fight if they just drove an Audi?
I don't know. Are we comfortable like talking about dating stuff with like?
I mean,
your
I'm
mom and your
comfortable,
cousin?
but it's a matter of like who's watching and if they care about that.
All right. Any other questions? You still got that Audi that I got you?
Hat. Yeah, I still have the
Audi
Audi
hat.
hat. So
I see
Ollie
it.
was a part of a Secret Santa, and I asked for an Audi hat, and it has the 4 rings on the bottom corner. It says Truth in Engineering. I still have that hat.
Truth in Engineering.
That was their slogan.
Is that the red hat or the gray hat?
It's like a black.
Oh, it's like a sports.
It's a trucker hat.
Okay,
It's
just
like
kidding.
it's like the one with the mesh back on it, but it's not really a true trucker hat. It's more of like a dad cap. And it has the Audi rings, and it says Truth in Engineering. Yeah, I still have that, and I still wear it once in a while. But yeah. So I guess Donnie wants to listen to relationship stuff.
It's not. It's pretty simple. One of my friends had asked, "How did you meet? Who hit on who? And what was the opening line?"
We said this in the last one, but we met on Coffee Meets Bagel.
It's a dating app.
And this is an interesting story. Is that like I had not used Coffee Meets Bagel for a long time. I always like delete it because apparently when you like first get on there, like they give you a lot of decent matches, but then if you're on there for like longer than 2 weeks, then
they just turn to trash.
Yeah, like the matches are like not even.
You have to go into your Discover so that you pay for the good ones.
Yeah, so they try to get you to buy beans because they just give you terrible matches every single day. But I had like not had it installed on my phone, decided to install it after a long time. I think Jess is like the first person that came up in my new like fresh install of Coffee Meets Bagel.
And I had actually never been on a dating app before this. I was kind of like, I'm not gonna say bullied by my roommate, but my roommate like really strongly encouraged me to try it. I've had people telling me for a while, but I was very much like, no, I want to meet somebody like organically. Like I want us to like meet at a bookstore and like, you know, just have a conversation about life. Because that's how I've like I don't think I've ever really dated in that aspect before, right?
Yeah.
So then my roommate like, you know, like sat me down and I think the other thing is I'd also just like met a lot of couples that were like really well matched that had also met on Coffee Meets Bagel. So the, you know, return ROI seemed like it was going to be really good. So I installed it and then you were like one of my first like deliveries. Yeah, because it's like a bagel delivery, right? They give you, I don't know how much it is for men, but for women they give you 6 bagel deliveries a day.
If I remember correctly, like when you first install it, they give you like 20 on like the first day, but then like it slowly starts going down to like 5 to 3 to 1, and then you just get 1 a day, and they're all like
really
bad.
Really, that's so sad. Yeah. That's mean. Yeah, women just get like 6. It's a consistent bagel assortment. Like, you know, we got to choose from the 6 at 12 o'clock every day, and I liked it because it was contained. It wasn't like this endless swiping possibility.
But back then, I was just like, I really liked using Hinge for some reason.
What do you mean? No, I'm just. What's the reason?
I used Hinge. I used Bumble, but I never matched with anybody on Bumble, and Tinder just because. But like, I don't think I ever got matches on Tinder either. I'm very picky. I'm the opposite of the person who just like swipes right, like arbitrarily on anybody. So yeah, we met on the dating app. What was the other?
Who hit on who? Who hit on who?
Of course, the guy has to send the first message.
Yeah, we're privileged in the Coffee Meets Bagel realm.
Yeah, and then the first line was so. I guess this ties into Ali's question of how much do people lie on those apps.
That's a good question.
I didn't lie in the app. But so anyway, let's answer the first thing, and then we'll get back into our profiles. But I saw Jess wrote in her profile that she really hates bananas. Is that what it said?
I fucking hate bananas.
She wrote she really hates bananas. So my first line. And when it came to like first lines, I have this mixed relationship with first lines because it's just so hard to like. First lines are terrible. But anyway,
so much pressure on you guys to have a good first line that's not just hey.
So I saw that she wrote I hate bananas in her profile, so my first line to her was I hope that strawberries have been better to you.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, the other guys that I've like, you know, that have come to me on the app are just like, ho ho, what did bananas do to you? Or like, ho ho, how did they hurt you? And I was like, ho ho, you know, like, it was like not, yeah. So it was like a very professional like. Hello, like I hope strawberries have been better to you. Where are your favorite places to bike? And I was like, 3 Point. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, because they were all stuff from your profile. You had a
thoroughly
picture.
Searched my, you know, did your research.
One of your pictures was the bike, and I was into biking, so.
Yeah. So that was his line, and he hit on me. And we talked about this a little bit at the last one, but we were talking for a while. Oh, and then, you know, you told me that your friend doesn't like strawberries because she feels like they're all eyes.
Yeah,
which like also really complicated my relationship with strawberries.
Yeah, I had a friend who was terrified of strawberries because the little seeds look like little eyes inside the strawberry.
It works, Donnie, right? Donnie said my first line is usually, "Hey, I read your profile."
You're not
Something
supposed to
about
say
the
you read the
profile.
profile.
Question about the profile?
You're supposed to make them think, oh, he read my profile.
Donnie, take some tips, man.
No, my first line is, hey.
Period.
Hey.
End of sentence.
So Jess is laughing because I made like a very like...
Oh yeah, I went through his Facebook.
Ranting status about this, but it's like... How did it go? It's like... Girls on dating apps. Like, I hate guys who write the first message is, hey. But then like on Bumble, the first message from the girl is always, hey.
Because the girls they do the first message.
Yeah, and Bumble,
okay, first of all, women.
The women on Bumble, they have to send the first message. But it's always funny when like women bitch about guys saying hey, but like anytime I match with someone on Bumble, the woman's message, the woman's first message was hey. So I think there's a double standard there.
Yeah.
It's hard. First messages are hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a hard life for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Your 20 bagel deliveries.
Oliver says, "Oh, I think he's referring to the strawberry thing. That's an actual phobia. I think that's the trip to. That's why people are afraid of the Apple Watch app screen because they're a bunch of tiny circles very close together. Yeah.
Actually, that's all the questions we got before because our friends don't care about us.
Okay. No more relationship stuff.
I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for us?
I think we're out of the pre-asked questions in the doc, so...
Also, I mean, it's been about 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Do we want to wrap it up?
I'm having fun.
I'm having mad fun.
How many people are on?
10. Like our awesome friends.
Okay, I saw Alfie is in here.
Hi, Alfie. Hey, girl, if you're still here.
Yeah. Do I have a question for you?
Yeah, do you want to just ask me any random questions?
Yeah.
That's not going to, like, scare your family away from liking me?
No. I always like asking your journaling questions. Like, maybe not journaling specifically.
Guys, my brother made me really insecure about my hair the last time we did this. So I really need you to tell me when I'm looking janky. Okay. So, how did you get friends to watch this?
I don't know. I didn't even think anybody would.
Well, the last time it was all my friends.
I mean, at least Ollie's here. Ollie's representing.
Yeah, Ollie, thank you.
Me.
Yeah. Why am I watching this?
He's asking himself why he's watching this.
You should journal about it.
Yeah, we just wanted to kill some time. Oh, I like our conversations where we get into like really deep philosophical perspectives on things.
I'm just like worried that's not what people want. And you know, we're doing this for the people, if you really think about it.
We're doing this for the people.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Yeah.
The illustrations. So the illustrations I had commissioned, going back to the podcast thing, I commissioned an illustrator to do the illustrations of both of us because I wanted to use it for potential podcast cover artwork. That's why I had it done, but also because they're reusable. We could put them on anything. Yeah. I think anything we do, we could just put them on.
Yeah, and then we got stickers made, so if you guys want some stickers, let us know, because they're so cute.
I'm going to put our stickers
Alright, Alfie, I got you.
On the roof box of my car.
Yeah. Do we want to zoom in, or is this good?
We can zoom in.
Okay. Hold on, guys, we're zooming in.
Kicking this table. Got these wires everywhere.
Let me know. Okay. Let me know if you want stickers, and we will. Is it focused? Am I crisp?
Just keep. You're fine.
Okay. Philosophical stuff like what? I mean, all right, we're getting encouraging to go into philosophical stuff. I don't know. Ask us a question.
Well, so the pilot. We could talk about the pilot.
Her thoughts on Darwinism. The pilot. Yeah, we'll talk about the pilot.
So when we recorded a pilot episode of the Little Wins podcast, we talked about the topic of just starting stuff, because of course it was the pilot of a first episode of our podcast, so we were talking about, the act of just starting, and that it's way more difficult to start something, like do the first thing, than it is to just continue doing additional like once you have something started and moving, it's much easier to keep it moving than that initial force to get it started.
So that is, we were talking about fear, I think. We were talking about how difficult it is sometimes to start things, and then James was like, have you ever heard about the coefficient static of friction?
It's the static coefficient of friction versus the kinetic coefficient of friction. And basically it just showed like the differences between those two is that the static coefficient of friction is always larger than the kinetic coefficient of friction. But what that means is that it takes a lot more force to get something moving from a stopped state than the force it takes, like once it's moving, the force to keep it continuing moving at that same speed is much lower.
So James was a math and physics major in college, if you can't tell. And then the counter, like the stuff that I would kind of talk about in response to that is how I believe that a lot of the reasons why we don't start things is because of like we have to let go of an identity before we feel ready to receive or embark on a new identity, and sometimes letting go of past identities is harder than stepping into something new. So that's like a lot of my psych stuff, but we'll publish that podcast and you guys can hear all about it.
It's just sitting on my computer.
So yeah, I'm on the Mighty Networks actually. I'm gonna explore that a little bit more. It's an app, I think.
What is Mighty Network? So someone asked here, the app said the Mighty Networks is something you might like, Jess. So I don't know what the Mighty Networks is.
I'm not super clear about it either. I had to download it in order to access this group called the Cosmos, which is like a group of Asian women and like wellness. So I haven't fully explored it yet, but I'm on it. So I'm definitely going to be exploring, and I'll let you guys know what it is next time. It seems like a wellness community app, I think.
Oh, cool.
Is that philosophical?
Isn't it primarily the failing and the so we actually covered a little bit of failure in our pilot episode.
Wait, is what
I think this is going back to our difficulty of starting stuff conversation.
Okay. So the difficulty is in the failing and inability to.
I think Ali is saying like it's harder to start things. I think it's because of the fear of failing.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we went in this pilot recording. We went a little bit into our perspectives on failing.
Yeah, why don't we just talk to them about failure in this highly anxious time? I mean, it's a positive outlook on failure. I was like, when we started the podcast, the Little Wins podcast, like I was really deep in failure because I had kind of like quit my job and was embarking on this thing where I was experiencing a ton of imposter syndrome around like whether or not I could do it or should do it. And I had like a really complex relationship with failure, which I didn't even realize where it was coming from. Like, my anxiety was rooted in fear of failure. So we ended up talking for like a lot about where failure comes from. I guess like inability to recover. Oh, and we answered your question about dating.
Yeah.
I'll send you the juicy, the hot goss later.
I guess I could jump into like what I said about failure in the podcast, which is like I put it in the context of like how I learned to ski. And I think of failure as a positive thing because every time you fail, every failure is like an opportunity to learn. So when you fail, you like really take it to heart, like what you did wrong and how to like not fail again in the same way, because you take a lot of mental notes and you like take it to heart of like how did I end up here and how did I fail. So I put this in the context of how I learned to ski because I think about my process of learning how to ski as the process of how I like teach myself to learn anything. And it is through a process of failing a lot, like failing, and they say this in like product design, like fail fast and fail often. And that's kind of the process how I learned skiing, is because when I first started out, and I think this is anybody's experience whether you're learning skiing or snowboarding, is that you fall a lot. And if you define failure as like falling and like not being able to stay on your feet, in the early goings you do that a lot, but every time you fall, like you learn like, all right, how did I, like what caused me to fall? And the next time you get up on your feet and you try it, like you tweak your behavior so that you don't do the same things that caused you to fall last time. So I think failing a lot like I think there's nobody out there that has gone through life without a single failure. I think everybody has had a lot of failures. I think it's a matter of like, do you fail on the bunny slope or do you fail at the very top of the mountain on the hardest trail?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's very important early on at the bunny slopes when the consequences aren't that tough to fail a lot. That way you gain a lot of learnings and knowledge to eventually get to the top of the mountain, and you've kind of acquired all the skills to be able to tackle that. And I think, I mean, sometimes you'll still fail and fall at the toughest slopes, but
Yeah.
you're doing it with a lot more experience and knowledge of how to not fail.
I think what was really what really stuck with me about that episode what really stuck with me about that story when you shared that with me is that you told me that you had to learn how to fall, and and that really kind of changed the way I saw about a lot of things. So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
yeah, part of falling or failing in skiing is you need to, like, if you ever learn skiing, like, they'll teach you how you should fall, and it's like, basically, if you're skiing and you feel yourself losing control, you basically just lean to one side and you put yourself down. And that's a lot less painful if you are, like, about to lose your balance or whatever, and you're, like, out of control, and you just if you try to stay on your feet, that's how you get, like, the yard sale, like, the most dangerous falls, where you're just, like, your arms are flailing and stuff. So I think when it comes to, once you learn how to fall, and you just fall a couple times, and, like, you also understand when you're in control and when you're out of control, and when you're, like, feel yourself losing control, you have to just sometimes just purposefully put yourself down. And I think when it comes to, like, trying something new, learning something new, if you are, like, if you're doing something and you feel yourself, like, losing control of it, like, there's sometimes you just need to learn that you just need to, like, quit or, like, put yourself down. That way you can pick yourself up and try again in a better way. Because sometimes, you know, if you're losing control and you try to force yourself to stay up and you, like, get really, really hurt, that makes it much harder to, like, get back. Like, if I ever got, like, really seriously hurt when I was just learning how to ski, I may not have, like, put the skis back on and, like, got back and, like, tried to learn how to ski, and it wouldn't be one of my favorite things to do every single winter.
Yeah, and I think Oliver's response is really interesting, which is that, like, when you're skiing, you fail in a very, like, private way, and it's just solo failing, and it's easier to recover from solo failing.
Yep.
Whereas if you're failing in front of a group of people...
Not in front of a group, but if you are a team and you feel like you're letting people down if you fail.
Right.
I think that's where he's going with that.
Yeah.
But I think, so I guess there's two ways. There's the way you just said, that if you're failing in front of a group of people, but, like, what do you...
Yeah, I mean...
I think in that sense, like, I would just say, like, who the fuck cares what other people think if they see you failing?
That's a very privileged mindset, I think.
But if you are a team and you are afraid to fail because you're going to let the entire team, that means the entire team is going to fail and there's other people at stake. I think part of that is, like, on the team building aspect of it, like, if you're a team, like, you should also work on your trust and your communication with each other, that you respect that if, like, somebody is, like, really, like, going under, you, like, people either need to help them out, or you all need to, like, have this respect that if someone decides that they can't handle something, that, like, failure is a potential outcome.
I had a really interesting conversation with, like, imposter syndrome was such a big thing for me, and it also was, like, a word that kept floating around my group of friends, that I got a group of 5 women together, like, women of color, and we were all, like, in different variations of imposter syndrome, right? And that conversation was so dope. But I think one of the things that came up with that is, like, the interesting dynamics between, or the interesting dynamics with people when it comes to failing when you come from a collectivist mindset. Like, I think especially Asians and, you know, like, South Americans, like, you know, there's this understanding that, like, what you do impacts everyone around you. And there, you know, sometimes to me that fear is really primal. Like, it's really hard for me to think that I'm not, like, I have room to fail, because especially if I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked in, like, really small, scrappy nonprofits for, like, 15 years. So, like, when you fuck up, like, the whole team feels it, and the whole team has to come together to, like, recover from that, right? So that's one aspect of when I heard about failing a group, or like failing in front of other people. So that's one thing that came to mind, which is that like the pressure on you is not depending on where you come from, right? So we talked a lot about even like ancestral failures. I don't know if I'm getting like too cerebral with this, but like, not only are you failing your tribe, but if you come from a lineage where people like left their homes to like make a living, in this like world that doesn't exist, like I have no choice but to try anything I can, because failing means my family won't eat or I lose my safety net. So there's like a different kind of failure that we are carrying without realizing it sometimes.
Yeah, I think the question though is like, do you only get one failure, like, and it's done, or are you allowed multiple failures? Because like the way like there's so much weight being put on like fail, like what I'm talking about are like, I'd rather have a lot of baby failures than like one monumental, like one I'm at the top of the hill, like one failure could like, I think there's a lot of importance on failing early when it's like the consequences are low versus like, oh, I've like moved my entire family. Like, I think in that process, like if you talk about immigrants moving to the United States, I'm sure in that process of moving
there's
over,
a lot of
little failures that happened that got them to eventually,
And I think like, what is really interesting is that once we've been having these conversations, and there was a period of time where I had to like really work on building up the courage to fail, essentially. And once I did it, I understood it. Once I put myself in a position to fail and became like understanding about failure being a part of learning, which I think wasn't a part of the process for me before. Failure wasn't a part of the process of learning before. It was really just learning and doing. And once I like kind of broadened my definition of failure to learning to include failure, that's when I started, like that first part was the scariest part. And then each time it got easier and easier, which is why James was talking about the static coefficient of friction and how the first failure is the hardest. No, finish. Where are you going to go with that? The first cut is the deep end. But yeah, I think, I don't really know where I was going with that.
For some reason, when we were talking about the baby failures, I was thinking of an example of like a little kid. You know the little toy with the shapes, and then you have to put the shape in it.
Yeah.
Like, the kid like doesn't just all of a sudden like whoop, circle, swish, like into the hole. It's like they're banging and trying every shape into the hole until they find it, and then that's how they learn that that's the shape that goes in the hole.
So that's actually where we're on the same frequency here. So you know how everyone in 2020, like they're like, what's your word for 2020? I was really reflecting on what that word would be, and my word was going to be play, actually. Because, like, at first I was thinking, like, courage or whatever, but I was actually thinking more about play. Because when we play, it's like low-stress failure. Like, you're able to try out a lot of different things with the understanding that you're learning about your world, right? And I think at some point, especially if you're really not given a lot of room to play when you're younger, which I don't think I really was. But at a certain point, like I started working really early when I was 14, and play was kind of something that wasn't around. And at the beginning of 2020, I was starting to do art differently. I was starting to explore my painting in a different way. And a lot of that time is really just play. So I wanted to try to reframe this experimental phase that I was going through with believing that it's more about play than failing. Right? Like, so that's, something that I think would be really interesting, where you think about failure in terms of like playing and testing so you can learn instead.
It's that, and it's like I think it's important to think of things more in like the play aspect, because if you like think so hard about like, this is really, really like you spend a lot of time thinking about what do I really, really, really want to do, and you like try to do it, and it's like, damn, you spent so much time like deciding that that's what you wanted to do versus like just doing anything that first came to your mind and realizing I don't want to do that and trying something else. So I mean, there's two different perspectives on that.
And I wonder, this is me kind of going to like psych hypothesis mode, but I wonder whether there's a correlation between like what your relationship with play is. Like, are you given free time to play? Are you encouraged to play? Do you have like because if you think of like kids right now, they're not allowed to play, or like they're given structured activities, and instead of playing, everyone's online. So what does that, what relationship does that have with the high level of anxiety or the perfectionism that's out in this world, where kids our age, as long as we didn't die, we're able to just kind of go outside and like do our own thing. So what relationship does like childhood play have to do with adulthood fear? I think that would be really cute for some psychologist researcher out there to
and I
explore.
think you found this interesting
too.
You found this very interesting too when I was talking to you about my process when I design things.
Yeah.
And that I was telling you that like I don't go into like designing an app or a website like already having a vision of my head before I like go into Photoshop and like knowing exactly what I'm gonna do in Photoshop when I get in there. There's this process of like doing a lot of different stuff, and like it's not like I do stuff and then like export it as an image and say like this is concept one and export. It's like I'm actually doing a lot of playing in the app and like figuring out like trying a lot of different things and say like I hate a lot of this stuff, but here's the one thing I did like.
But you build time for failure into your process, which I've never considered before.
Yeah, so whenever people like ask me to scope a project out, like I will build in a week of like whether it's like experimentation. Well, first there's like a research phase where I just like look at, all right, what's already out there, like this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, and then there's a whole week of like, all right, jump in the app and just like do whatever. Like I don't guarantee that there's going to be a final product after the end of the week. It's just a whole week of me just playing around, seeing what I like and don't like, and playing around with what other people are doing and what I like about what they're doing, what I don't like about what they're doing. But that's all happening in the app as I'm just like playing around with stuff. But like that's a lot of work that doesn't get seen because I'm not, like I said, I'm not like saying like, all right, here's an image that I'm going to export, this is concept one, or here's concept two. There's like a lot of micro things happening where it's like, oh, I tried like 50 different treatments here and I hate it. And it's like choosing a font, like, you know, I'll spend like hours scrolling through a font site and look at like 500 fonts and like typing the words that I want to see in that font before I actually like either buy the font or like if it's a free download, like download the font and like actually use it in a design. Like I've spent an entire day where I didn't do anything in Photoshop at all, and I just like looked through font site and like picked a couple fonts.
And I never had that luxury. Like I think when you work, at least my experience is a nonprofit. I don't like want to overgeneralize nonprofit, but we're working on very like limited resources and limited time. Like I have so much that I need to do in a short amount of time. So when I wanted to test out a lot of things, I wasn't given the opportunity to test stuff out. Like it either had to be perfect when it was rolled out, or we had to like wait until the end of the school year to try different hypotheses. And I always had to prove that it could be perfect before I rolled it out. We didn't have the resources or the money to just like throw something at this and test it out, and I would love more of that to be available, but with my experiences it wasn't it. So I had so much fear I had to unlearn around that.
Well, I do a lot of that too, where I will publish like and launch things that I know aren't perfect, but I know that it being out and live in the world is better than having nothing out in the world. So you know, I have experience working for a lot of startups, and they don't have as much money as like the Googles or Facebooks to plan testing into their like cycles, because they just need to have a product out there.
Done,
So sometimes like I will put something out there that is just fundamentally like
based like usable. Like,
hey, does it satisfy the requirements? It doesn't matter if it's absolutely perfect. It's better that we get something out there and start collecting data on it than like spend like a month with nothing live out there at all. So I do a lot of that. I'm okay publishing things that I know where all the holes are in the thing.
And the difference is that I wasn't. I was not okay with publishing things that didn't feel perfect to me. I was not okay with putting something out there that I felt that other people would not think was perfect. And it's like I spent 10 years cultivating knowledge around this one thing, and I still just believe that I would fail people if they showed up to my... So I don't know. It's a process. We can talk more about it when we launch more things. That's fun. That was fun.
Yeah, let me know if you like these.
Yeah, if you guys are more into these,
like too philosophical, or you want to get back to some silly, lighthearted questions.
Chat got hella quiet.
I saw Donnie ask some like random questions that were a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Or if you like these deeper questions,
keep asking us deep questions.
Answers.
Yeah.
I think we both have like very interesting backgrounds and perspectives on things.
Yeah.
Let's just ask a light one just to break it up a little bit.
So he has two. One had to do with an elephant. Okay.
You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What would you do with the elephant?
Like in New York?
Yeah, is this in New York? But anyway, I'm gonna assume that if I've been given an elephant, like I have a space for it, because he's saying that we can't give it away or sell it. I mean, does donating to a zoo like count? But I love elephants. I try and ride it at least once in my possession of it.
Is it really fucked up that I was like, I would have to eat it?
You're gonna eat it?
If I can't like give it away or sell it?
You're gonna cook it?
I'm feeling. It was my first thought. It was just my first thought.
Wow.
I don't have a lot of space in my apartment, and I would have to store it in a way that was.
Are you hungry?
It's just like a lot of meat. All right, Donnie, you're gonna like tear our relationship apart. Okay.
What's your first thought of eating it?
You know, my first thought was, what is the most like effective, long, like sustainable way, and I would freeze it so that I would always have meat.
Mm.
It's a very large animal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow. All right.
I think Toya's getting like the delayed. Toya's getting like a delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we just did a little lighthearted thing, but I think some people like our deep philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
Someone called PETA.
Oh my god, who's this? Oh, hi! Damn it, come in mad late and then start like... No! I would donate it. What seasoning would you use for an elephant?
Have you eaten elephant before?
I don't think you're allowed to.
Where's this coming from?
I'm just like trying to think of in like a really sustainable way where like I wouldn't waste the elephant.
Oh man.
Right? Like it would feed me and maybe lots of people, and I would obviously.
Right. Let's get off of cooking elephant, but this leads me to another question though. But what is the weirdest animal you've ever eaten?
I'm not food adventurous.
No.
I'm not. I have never done balut. Like I don't do intestines. Like
When I was in Japan, my friend Satoshi had me try the whale. He wanted to get me the horse sashimi, and I was like, no.
Oh, like raw horse meat?
But I tried whale bacon.
Whale bacon?
Yeah.
What was that like? Does it taste like bacon?
Texture was terrible, but it wasn't awful. See, look, I said donate it. I would have donated it to the Bronx Zoo.
I'm just feeling that this has become a really inflammatory environment.
Okay, well, I thought this was going to be a lighthearted question, but it just got dark real quick.
Okay. All right. Okay. I have to pee, so I think. I have to. Yeah, I think we can probably wrap it up. You guys have spent an hour and.
How many people are watching? Are we like
still
leaving
10?
A lot of people?
We've got 10. I don't know.
You go to the bathroom.
And you're gonna talk to them.
And field some questions. Watch out. I think you can get out that way. Just slide that underneath the table. We're a little tight fit here in the studio because we've only got. I only got 100 square feet.
All right, guys. Ask James all the hard, scary questions.
I'm actually curious if people are.
I'll watch the recording later.
Yeah, I'm more curious if people are more into the philosophical questions than the lighthearted ones. So I don't know. We've got philosophy for days, and I think when Jess and I had those, when we were talking before about like our conversations, that we were like, oh, this would be an amazing podcast episode. They were like really deep, intense questions. So I don't know. I think I like answering those things, and I think if I were to ever do a live stream, I would love to like answer questions people have about design and process, things like that. But yeah, I think one of the things that one of the reasons like I wanted to do the live stream is because I do like answering people's questions, particularly about like stuff that I'm knowledgeable in. I think that's also John C. You hit that. Like when I hang out with my friends, like the best conversations are the ones where you like get really philosophical about stuff. And I think my experience in like when I used to work in podcasts, the topics that people like are the ones that feel like you're in a conversation That's what people enjoy hearing. Like, you feel like you're with a group of your friends, even though they're people you never met before, just chatting away on a podcast. Into the philosophy of producing and process in the design business. So I could talk a little bit about as required. I know I've been like pasting this as required logo everywhere, and this is something that I've been doing for a while, and I didn't really have a solid idea of what it was. Jess is back from the bathroom. Your hand's very blurry. Jess is back. I could go into a little bit about as required. Like I said, like it's something that I like had a logo for and was like putting everywhere without really having an idea of what it was. And like my friends, so every single year I would like get T-shirts printed up with my as required logo on it, and I think Kristen was one of the first ones to ask me like, what if people ask me like what as required is, like what do I tell them? And I like really didn't know like what the answer to that would be, but I think now if she were to ask me that question today, I would be like, oh yeah, it's just my design studio. So I've like kind of named this place like the As Required Studio. Mm-hmm. And I think in our like conversation about failure, like I'm the type of person, I think we're opposites in this way, is that I just like to start shit and like not know where I'm going with it, just to like see where it goes. And that's kind of like what As Required is. Like I want to do something and like have my own thing, but I don't know what it's gonna be. And that's how I started As Required. But yeah, it's just been this organic thing of just my side. I just say it's like all my side projects I put under this As Required banner, and that's because that is I don't know. I can't give people final answers of what stuff is because I'm still figuring shit out, and that's my process. It's always a process of figuring shit out.
Yes, Donnie. ASMR D's nuts. Is your mom still here?
Probably.
Can you tell?
She texted me saying that. My cousin Roz, if you're curious about this hat.
Oh my god, I love this hat. Can you do here's the makeup artist. Here's the hat it would focus.
So my cousin Roz has this brand called Beamer and Sampson. She has 2 French bulldogs. Well, Beamer we recently had to put down, but she had a black and a white French bulldog, and Beamer was the black French bulldog, and Sampson, careful because they're going to hear all that movement. So Beamer was the black French bulldog, and the Sampson was the white French bulldog. So she made these hats. So this is the Samson hat, and then there's a gray one with a black French bulldog, and his name is Beamer. So
rest in peace, Beamer.
Rest in peace, rest in power, Beamer. But that's the hat that I'm wearing right now. She actually sells that. If you're in Williamsburg and you pass by the short store called ID Menswear.
Can I do a zoom? Can I take your hat off?
No, because it's on manual focus.
Can I bring it? Oh, it's not.
I don't want people to see my hideous hair underneath here. So
it's a shame. You guys are missing out on a really, really good looking hat.
So I'm wearing the Beamer. I'm wearing the Samson hat, and my mom texted me saying that Roz was very happy to see me wearing the hat.
Yeah, it's a very good hat.
I'm gonna keep my hands here because you're gonna pull.
I'm not. I respect you, and no means no. Consent.
No.
Okay, I accept your no. Let me see. Who's still? Any other questions you guys want?
They said that they like the philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
And I went into As Required thing because.
And that's Jared.
Jared said they like the philosophy of producing and process.
Yeah. Okay, so John, do we want to keep going on philosophical things? Y'all, it's 9:30.
I think if we should go until 10 if we can.
Yeah, our battery's looking kind of.
But even so, we're not like switching the camera back and forth. So, but let's see how long we go. She's gonna me too, you dude.
Wow! Damn.
What are some other philosophical conversations we had where at the end of it we're like, that would have been like a really good podcast episode?
When we were talking about the difference between damp, moist, and wet. It got good. We started this conversation last time, and my question was essentially, is damp wetter than moist? Or is moist wetter than damp? My theory is it's moist, wet. Moist, damp, and wet. He believes it's damp, moist, and wet. But he had a very interesting thought today, which I agree with, which is that moist permeates and goes inside whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas damp is on the surface, so it's actually a difficult conversation. Fine.
It's like comparing apples and oranges.
Fine.
Moist permeates through the material, while damp is just kind of a layer on the outside.
Fine. But that was an argument that I thought would be a really good podcast episode.
I'm sick of this conversation. So
sick of you.
We walked over here, and the whole walk was this conversation. And if we were passing by you, and you heard us talking about this, you would have been like, "What the fuck?" Oh,
Jared, why? Why was your wife mad? Is it because she doesn't like the M word? Or is it because of the classification?
All right, let's move on. What kind of cameras are you using for this? Right now, the last camera standing is the A7 III. My A6300 overheated and turned off. We had this awesome back and forth angles going on. Very zoomed in
we
on
were
my
so
face.
pro and like we looked really great.
And then in the middle, we had to
looking at
change
each other.
everything up because the camera overheated and turned off. Oh man. No, I'm done. Now, I didn't used to have a thing against moist, but the fact that we spoke about it so much, I'm like kind of annoyed.
Moist. Anyway. Alright. On that note, I think we should wrap up the episode. I think that we've reached a point of contention. I want to eat dinner.
Okay.
And you guys
I can tell you
so
want to eat dinner after wanting to cook an elephant.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, first of all. But we have 11 people. We have more people watching now.
I know, that's why I'm reluctant to end this now, but I would love...
Tune in next time.
I guess we gotta save stuff for next
time.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna be doing this pretty regularly, especially during the lockdown.
Should we save this recording and release it as a podcast?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I could save this. This is just recording to YouTube.
Oh,
I guess I could download the video and upload the audio.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys want if you want to do this again.
Yeah, if we want to do this again, and then we should ask now for the next one, if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Clint.
Oh, Clint finally joined.
Yeah, in the last 15 minutes.
Maybe we should start these at 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock.
Fine. Okay.
Clint joined. Is your hair moist-delicious? Oh, that's my hair. I thought he was talking about yours. No, my hair's not moist under here. It's very dry. My hair gets really, really dry, and so does my scalp.
Nobody needs to know that, babe. That's
Here,
we could
do a live recording of
that's
all the dandruff
VIP status information. I think you're giving away a lot right now. Okay.
All right. So yeah, if anybody has any questions that we could start off the next one, we're gonna try and because we find that it's hard to get these things going.
Yeah. Your questions help a lot.
So in this podcast, we tried to do the countdown thing 30 minutes before just to get people in on the thing, and then I fucked up with 3 minutes left in the countdown. I accidentally pressed the button and put myself live before the countdown went to 0. I wanted it to be this awesome thing where
it's awesome.
Countdown hits 0.